On today's Toy Spot, we're now finished off the reviews of the Marvel Legends Mojo series. So now wrapping up these videos, we're going to be looking at the Build-A-Figure figure himself. Today's Toy Spot, we're going to be looking at Mojo. Now there is obviously no packaging because Mojo here would have come as individual pieces, included with each of the figures. So being that is the case, I don't actually have a biography I can read up on the package. However, I can do one better. Referencing the Bible here, the Marvel Universe Bible. I'm sure most Marvel Universe, Marvel Legends fans will actually have this in their possession. This is the updated and expanded version. So what I'm actually going to do, kind of taking a scripture here from the Bible, we're actually going to look here at Mojo, who's up at the top right-hand corner, and I will read to you. Mojo's already fallen asleep, but I will read to you the read-up on Mojo. And it says, real name is Mojo, occupation, ruler of the world, of course, base of operations, the Airborne Body Shop and Mojo World, height unknown, weight unknown, hair none, eyes yellow. First appearance, long shot number 3, November of 1985. The biography says, a spineless mass of yellow flesh, Mojo is ruler of Mojo World, a bizarre media-oriented planet. A manipulative tyrant, Mojo produces movies and TV shows to keep the mass amused. The need to maintain these entertainments' popularity has drawn him to Earth. Mojo's first visit occurred when his slave Longshot tried to persuade the X-Men to help overthrow his master. Although they triumphed, Mojo's successor, Mojo 2, the sequel, proved to be even more tyrannical, and Mojo reclaimed the reins of power. Since the X-Men are such crowd pleasers, Mojo has repeatedly involved them in his entertainment programs, but they are rarely willing participants. Frustrated by this, he created younger versions of the X-Men, the so-called X-Babies, but they have proved no easier to work with. So there is the read-up on Mojo. Want to also thank the Bible here, the Marvel Encyclopedia, for that information. And now what we will do is we will have a look at Mojo. Now I can see why some people don't care for this figure. Just give you guys a turnaround here. The detailing is very nice on him. He's got a lot of different paint apps. All the individual wiring here is all nicely painted. He's got detail paint in his tentacle here. But I think more importantly, he's got a lot of paint wash on his body. They've done actually a really good job on the face, on the stomach here as well. That still kind of looks like a behind, but a great work nonetheless. I can see though where the problem lies with this particular figure, and it's these guys right here. Mojo has all these tentacles, these leg pieces here. Unfortunately though, the way the figure is designed, he's extremely top heavy. So much so that by really keeping this guy on his legs, it's next to impossible and probably not something I would advise. If you do happen to get him on the legs, the sheer weight, I would think, of the figure alone might be enough to start warping and possibly even snapping these legs right off. So I would say be of caution and not necessarily have your figure sitting right on the legs. Certainly any Marvel Legend collector can attest to that. They have put clear stands on the undersiding of the figure. I guess the intent is that it's to have really the figure standing more so on those than on the actual legs. The only downside though is these actual pegs, these little stand legs, are actually not long enough. They really should have been a little bit longer, probably about there, so that the figure could still stand, and have at least the idea that these legs are still extended. Because usually, I think even in most collection videos that you see on YouTube, they've always got the legs kind of just squished flat, and Mojo is kind of really just sitting on the bookcase or on the floor, just on his base. And I never really could understand why until now I've actually got him built, that yes, in fact, these legs serve no purpose, which is unfortunately a real shame, because I think had the legs actually worked, or that the actual base was higher than what it was, it would look a lot more impressive than what it does. In the way of his articulation, he has none in his head, but he does have a ball jointed shoulder. He has the swivel bicep. You can bend the elbow at 2 points. He has a jointed hand, which also can rotate. He also has articulated fingers, so you can have him scratching his belly if you want. He has no waist articulation, obviously, just because of the way he's been put together. The individual arms are what looks to be just on a ball joint, although you really can't move them up and down very much. But you can't move them. You can move them up and down and stuff like that. Same idea with the legs. The legs appear to be on a ball joint, but you're not really going to do too much with them. And really, that is my problem with the figure. And again, a problem that I think many Marvel Legends collectors can agree with. Why, for how heavy this guy is, why these bottom pieces couldn't have been longer. It almost makes me think I want to get like a clear base or a stand of some sort that I can actually have this figure sitting on top. Then you could extend the legs and make it look a little more impressive than what you end up getting when you have the figure standing as is. Despite the legs as being the real issue, I'm still gonna give this figure a really high rating just because I really still like Mojo. I know it's a crime. This figure I am gonna give an 8.52, maybe an 8. I'm gonna give him an 8. How's that? I'll give him an 8. It's just a shame that you can't really do anything with these legs. Now, that is Mojo. In the way of the figures themselves, I think the real gems of this set, personally, I really like the Psylocke. I think the Psylocke is a favorite of mine, so we'll bring her in. Mojo will keep an eye on her. And I also really like the Baron Zemo. And I think finally the one I really like also is Luke Cage. I do like the Luke Cage, so we'll put him in there as well. The Long Shot is good. The Iron Man is good. It's really a good strong wave. The only one I really am not a fan of too much, and that's just the Falcon. I don't have a lot of knowledge of the figure of the character itself. Maybe if I had known a little more of the figure or the character, I probably would like the figure more. But the additional shoulder articulation that allows for the wingspan and also the sloppy paint, I think does this figure really in. Now, of the three figures here, I might lean a little more to Luke Cage here as my favorite. Possibly with Psylocke being a close second. So that, my friends, concludes my reviews of the Marvel Legends Mojo series. I'll put the main man back in shot here. Worth picking up, yes. I can see again, though, why some people think of this as one of the more poor Build-A-Figures, but it's still a figure that's nice to get. And also, a good example that it has decent figures that you can pick up to get this guy right here. It's not just strictly really bad choices of characters where you get the individual pieces to get the Mojo. It's actually worth picking up a lot of these figures. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.